I am sure the name Mariam Soulakiotis doesn't ring a bell for many people, but she is still one of Greece's biggest serial killers. Known as Mother Rasputin, she advertised her monastery as a free treatment center for tuberculosis patients. But this was all for show, and you would soon find out that this nun wasn't all she was made out to be. Early life of Mariam Soulakiotis. Let's kickstart this with a look at the early life of Mariam Soulakiotis. Unfortunately, not a lot is known about Mariam's early life before she became a nun. However, it is said that she grew up about 50 kilometers south of Athens, with some sources claiming she was a factory worker and some others that she worked on her family's farm. What we do know is that she became a nun around the year 1900 for the Greek Orthodox Church and grew close to a bishop named Matthew, and her childhood home at Megalou Alexandrou Saint was later converted into one of the monastery's buildings. Soulakiotis jump-started her nun journey in the mainstream Greek Orthodox Church, but soon became very close to her religious superior, Bishop Matha Karpathakis of Vrestena. Over time, their bond grew even stronger, exceeding the boundaries of nun and bishop. When the Orthodox Church adopted a new calendar which is still in use today, Matthew took a stand and became an old calendarist. This paved the way for Mariam to follow the bishop, and they both established a monastery together in 1927. The monastery is none other than the infamous Panagia Pefkovounogiatrisa monastery. The monastery is located between the towns of Keratea and the rural village of Kaki Thalassa, both located in the municipality of Lavreotiki in the region of East Attica. But why the monastery? Well, officially, it is said that its creation was the honor of Mother Mary, but it was soon made clear that the true motive behind the sinister halls of this monastery was to offer support to those who followed Matthew and were old calendarists. As the years rolled by, Matthew was already getting old, and Miriam found herself stepping into Matthew's shoes, gradually shouldering more responsibilities until destiny drove her into the role of abbess in 1950. This is where the story starts to get interesting. In the aftermath of World War II, Matthew's health took a hit, which inevitably led to his death. This led to the monastery being under total control by none other than Mariam. As of the time, she had acquired an additional 7 acres of land and an extra 2 plots. But the question remains, how did a nun, even one as remarkable as Mariam, acquire the funds for all the land purchases? Greek author Nina Koulataki wrote that even having reviewed long sympathetic Matthewite histories of the monastery, there is no legal explanation as to how the nuns acquired the money to make these expensive property purchases. It all started as a haven for tuberculosis treatment, owing to the purported health benefits of its high-altitude mountainous locale to those who could not afford conventional treatments. The monastery, however, continued on this trajectory till around 1938, when the convent began marketing itself as a free-of-charge tuberculosis treatment center. The investigation. The story takes a chilling turn into the shadows of deception and crime as we try to answer the how did she get all that money? The year is 1950, and the authorities, sparked by an anonymous complaint from a young woman, began sniffing around the Panagia Pefkovounogiatrisa monastery. It all started when the young woman found out that her mother's will had been changed to leave everything behind to Mariam. This was something that would never happen unless the woman was forced to, claimed the daughter. This hinted at the alleged sinister modus operandi of Mariam Soulakiotis. The claim. It is believed that Soulakiotis would encourage wealthy women to join the convent and then go ahead and torture them until they donated their fortunes to the monastery. Once the bulk on the money is in the monastery's control, Soulakiotis would embezzle every last bit of it, and in some cases might even kill the donor. This operation began in 1940, after she took control over the other nuns in the monastery's convent. She was said to have sent monastery monks on a twisted recruitment spree across Greece in search of wealthy spinsters, widows, and families to convert. By the time of her arrest, Mariam had amassed a staggering empire, 300 homes and farms across Greece, along with golds and jewels worth thousands of pounds as of the time. One of her accusers, in a shocking testimony, revealed that she was held in an isolation cell and tortured until she surrendered properties worth at least $800,000 presently. In 1949, however, the FBI got involved when an 18-year-old Ohio-born Greek woman went missing. Her father had contacted the authorities in a desperate attempt to find out what happened, and they had traced her back to the monastery. According to the father, his daughter had been lured by a nun who he identified as Zafriopoulos Mariam, who had visited them in the US to collect property worth $10,000 that had been left to the monastery. Little did he know the horrors that awaited his daughter behind those monastery walls. A closer look revealed that the persecution alleges that Soulakiotis' strict practices among those in the convent led to the unnecessary deaths of 150 people who had sought treatment at the monastery for tuberculosis. The doctors were mere spectators, signing death certificates while patients withered away. On the night of December 4th, 1950, almost 100 police officers stormed the monastery on charges of the illegal export of olive oil to Cyprus and the illegal import of tires. But what they found was much worse. Victims, alive but broken, accused Miriam of unspeakable crimes: torture, starvation, blackmail, and false imprisonment. The authorities removed 37 children from the property, as well as a dozen half-naked older women who had been locked up, sick, and starved. The trial. While the initial charges had to do with illegal import and export, the authorities could not ignore the claims made by the victims. However, joining a monastery was something done voluntarily, and that made it harder for the prosecution to make a solid case against Mariam. The first trial, during 1951 and 1952, handed Mariam a mere 26 months on the charges of illegal import and export. But more witness statements kept pouring in, and more evidence of the torture at the monastery came to light. So, a second and third trial date was set in 1953, where she was sentenced to 10 years and an additional 4 years respectively. After the last trial, Mariam passed away before any more victims could gain their piece of closure. 7 murders were officially pinned on her, each a chilling tale of manipulation and brutality. 2 couples were lured and forced into signing over their property before joining the monastery. One couple attempted to escape after finding out about the living conditions but failed. Inevitably, both couples died of starvation and were kept in rooms riddled with tuberculosis. One woman came specifically to the monastery after hearing it was a free treatment center for tuberculosis. It was said that due to its location at a high altitude, the fresh oxygen would help cure her illness. When this woman finally arrived, she was locked into a room without any medical assistance or supervision. She too eventually died due to her illness and neglect. Lastly, 2 nuns were beaten to death as punishment for disobeying Mariam's orders and misconduct, making it 7. Throughout the trial, Mariam maintained her innocence and called the case satanic fiction. Documents revealed, however, that over 500 people signed over their property and later died on the monastery grounds. After Mariam's death, there was a protest organized by her followers maintaining her innocence. Her followers had to go underground, however, due to their beliefs being outlawed by the government. It is not clear if they kept up Mariam's operations, but there are reports of multiple women vanishing from the area in the years after Mariam's death. Surprisingly, the monastery still stands, open to the public and in use. The nuns who live there currently weren't there during these troubling periods. In time, however, they too hold on to the belief that Mother Rasputin was innocent and only wanted to help the sick and old. For what she has done, they hail her a saint. And so, the tale ends, leaving us with a lingering question. Was Mariam a saint or a sinner? Let us know what you think in the comments section. We would love to hear from you. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Till next time.